Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 133 of the Revive Yourself podcast. Here we go.
Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Have you got a health issue that just won't go away no matter what you try? Then welcome to the Revive Yourself podcast, where we reveal the secrets to long-lasting health by getting to the root cause of problems that no one else is talking about. So you can have more energy, clear skin, healthier hair, a leaner physique, more confidence, and most importantly, do the things you love and live the life you deserve. Here's your host, Ryan Martin.
So everybody, welcome back to the show, episode 133. We're on the move. We're on the groove. We're on the move. Yeah, I should probably stop that. But hope you're all well. As always, got a few bits just to do in terms of telling you all about some of the things that we've added to the shop. So this week, if you head over to www.reviveyourself.co and click on the shop, or just go to shop.reviveyourself.co, you'll be taken to the Revive Yourself shop, where we've got lots of high quality supplements that are going to help you to boost your immune system, help you to chelate out toxins and heavy metals and protozoa and parasites, and just going to give your body the energy, the positive energy that it needs. Obviously, one I always love to talk about, living fuel from it's in the Evolution Organics link there. It's the best all-round product bar none. We've got our toothpaste there and skin products. Could be adding a few more to that too. And I put up a post the other day about my morning tonic, which I do chop and change, but at the moment I'm having it with a little bit of pearl powder, which you'll find under the Ancient Purity link on the shop, the Ancient Purity link. And I've also have some vitamin C in there, which you'll find there, the liposomal vitamin C and the liposomal vitamin D3 and K2. I've been putting that in there along with obviously we have a freshly squeezed lemon in there, and a couple of other ingredients. And what else did I put in there? Got a few different things. Oh yeah, the bitters. You'll find the bitters and ginger on the Evolution Organics link, as well as the liver support. So it's an immune boosting, liver cleansing tonic. It's also actually, the bitters and ginger really help the gut too. And I always wash it down with 2 probiotics from seed, which are awesome. So yeah, that's all on our shop. Also our Aries Tech EMF blocking devices that are down there. If you click on that, if you want to block any 5G, any EMF, definitely want to be getting them on your phone, your laptop, putting it around in your car if you use Bluetooth. We've also got our Aquaterra water filtration systems on the site for 1, 2, 3 or 4 bedroom houses, whether you've got soft or hard water. If you need to know what one to choose, you should be able to Google it. If not, just send me an email at ryan@reviveyourself.co, and we can process that order for you too, with the with Aquaterra and through the Revive Yourself link. Also, we've got our blue blocking glasses from Blueblocks, BLUBLOX.com. Got a great interview with Andy Manth if you haven't listened to that. But if you head over to blueblocks.com and you're looking for your blue blocking glasses, you've got ones for the daytime to block the artificial blue light, not time for sort of like dusk, and also for the evening, the red glasses that take out all blue light, which if you listen to the interview, you'll be certain you need to start doing that, as artificial blue light is actually, as Dr. Jack Cruz said, I'm trying to get him on the show for us, he said it's actually much worse than smoking now, so we need to pay particular attention to that. And if you type in the code REVIVE, you're going to get 10% off of any blue blocking glasses. And also, if you head on over to www.essentialoilwizardry.com, you can actually find that link on the Revive Yourself shop. If you go through that link, you've got all the best essential oils in the world there. You can even make your own blend, but you've got different essential oils for different ailments. If you've got skin irritation, maybe poor sleep, or you need to be more mental alert, you've got all Dr. Nick Berry, the best in essential oils in the world, who is putting together his own blends from Portland, Oregon. It's better than organic. If you haven't listened to my episode with him, then I suggest you do. Revive Yourself, Ryan Martin Revive Yourself with Dr. Nick Berry. Have a listen. And if you put in the code REVIVE, just put in the code REVIVE, just with small letters there, you'll get 10% off the best essential oils on the planet bar none too. So that's what we're going there. And I said before, website's being made over, got a few different things going on. So yeah, exciting times. Today's episode is with a client of ours. That client is Helen Jacobs. She has a fascinating story that I wanted to get out to you guys. She is someone who got attacked and basically left for dead when she was younger. And then she also got a diagnosis of given 100 days to live by the oncologist, saying that she had non-Hodgkin's form of cancer and lymphoma cancer, and she didn't listen to them, and she's still alive and kicking. And not only that, she's looking and feeling better than she ever has before. 4 years later, it just goes to show what happens when you don't listen to the death sentence that's given to many people by these doctors. Fascinating story, and also why she came to us and how she's been getting on and the journey she's on now, and the fact that she's actually got some exciting news. She's been talking and she's releasing a book, etc. So I wanted to get her on here to tell you her story, because she goes a lot deeper than that and tells exactly what she went through and how she discovered natural healing and natural health, and where it led her. So without further ado, here she is. Enjoy the show, and I'll see you on the other side. 1 second, I've just got to do... should be fine. Now we're going. Yep, got you. Perfect. How are you today? You alright?
Great.
Perfect. So, I've just got to get a few of these little things out of the way here so I can just see everything good. So, yeah, let's talk about your journey. Let's talk about what's been going on. Let's been talking about where you were and where you are now. So, for everyone out there listening, Helen is one of my clients. She's come through a remarkable journey. Been working with each other for the last, I'd say, what's it been, about 8-10 weeks now, maybe? Yeah,
10.
Yeah, but 10 weeks, about 10 weeks. And I think we'd spoken a couple of times before we worked together. I think you'd been aware of my work for a little while. I think for a few other people, but for people.
Yes.
Yeah, a couple of years. That's what sometimes it happens. Sometimes people follow us. I get quite a lot of times it takes people a little while just to get to know someone, or just like before they. Yeah, it can take. Sometimes people hear about my work and they message straight away. Other times it takes people a little bit longer because they're going through different things. But for people out there, Helen, what was who are you? What you've been going through, and what's your journey been?
Well, I'm Helen, affectionately known as the Dragonfly Lady. It's been a hell of a ride over the last sort of 15-20 years, really. What do you want to know? I mean, I was always overweight. I've lost over 19 stone in weight, which is quite a thing to get your head around, because that's a whole other person.
So I'll tell you what. Let's go. So let's go from you. So when you started, so when you started on your health journey, because when you came to us about 10 weeks ago, you had certain things that were still unresolved that you were looking to work on. But what was the start of? Yeah, we'll go back as far as you can. Like, what was the start of your journey into the natural health world? Why did you start looking at natural health alternatives compared to the medical model? What was, because you had quite a lot go on in the past. If you're willing to share the story so people understand.
Yes, back in 2006, I was on my way to an appointment and I was jumped by two guys and viciously assaulted. It ended up with me being, savagely raped, and then they didn't stop there. They jumped on my abdomen and were kicking it in, basically. And I did try to fight back, but I ended up getting stabbed in the throat as a consequence. Yeah. And so I was sort of left for dead at the scene. And I woke up from that nightmare in hospital, paralysed, which lasted for 7 years. So my journey into holistic health came because after giving birth to my son, because I was actually pregnant at the time that happened to me with my youngest child. After giving birth to him, I was refused treatments because, first of all, I was pregnant, then I gave birth, then I was most insistent on breastfeeding. So they wouldn't give me the protocol drugs for that type of thing. So I ended up with several infections, infection after infection, but breast milk, having been tested several times, once a month, it was superb condition. So I carried on feeding him. So I couldn't actually get treated till after 2008, and then they started operating. But instead of fixing the problem, they just kept removing bits. And so each time I'd gone for an operation in the belief that, I believed them. They kept sort of holding my hands and telling me it was going to be okay. This will fix it, And I went for several rounds of abdominal surgery, and they just kept hacking bits off. So I lost more and more and more organs, actually whole organs, from inside my abdominal wall. I had to have the whole wall rebuilt with metal, so it's Teflon mesh. So it's quite robotic in there. It's all being held together by clips and staples and this big metal grid. But then it got to like 2010, and I'd gone for a consultant appointment, and in my head, they had kept telling me they were going to fix it, and I was able to sit at that point. But prior to that, I wasn't even able to sit, so I was sitting up in a wheelchair, and I got wheeled in, and the consultant did all sorts of tests. I mean, he said he had to, stick things in everywhere, basically. And it was the most horrific thing. I'd explained that I had previously been raped, and I didn't really want him to do that. I wanted, a conversation about how to proceed in the future. But no, he was most insistent. I wouldn't feel anything, but I felt everything. And so this convinced me that what they were saying to me didn't match what I was actually feeling. I was able to twitch my thigh with extreme concentration. So when he was holding my hand and basically telling me I was mentally ill and I'd just have to get used to doing everything for a seated position, I just basically started swearing, screaming, shouting. I was determined to get out of there, and I've just never gone back. I did have reconstructive surgery to fix the damage that they had done in 2012 privately. And I've never looked back since. I've just been holistic all the way ever since then. So that was my introduction into holistic health. I stopped trusting them because they kept telling me it was going to be okay, and it just wasn't. They were just making everything 1,000 times worse and removing organs. I mean, the only thing they didn't disrupt was my kidneys and liver, which, they were about to start. So I basically told them where to go, and I woke up, basically.
It's quite a fascinating story, that, Helen. Like, you skirted over things quite a lot there. Like, because a lot of people will be saying, well, for when you actually got attacked, you said you were pregnant with your child, but they were jumping up and down your stomach. How, isn't it quite remarkable that your baby was still being able to be born? Wasn't actually killed.
Completely. I call him my miracle child. Yeah. Completely. It was an absolute miracle that he survived. I didn't even know that of his existence until I woke up in the hospital, and they told me that we can't treat you at the moment because you're pregnant, and it was 18 weeks.
18 weeks. That's it.
Yeah. I didn't believe it. They had to take me down to the kidney stone scanning machine, which is the screen is the size of a bedroom wall, I guess, and they put that on to show me, and sure enough, that I could see him swinging about. From that moment, I was absolutely determined they weren't going to interfere with that process. I was having him.
So you didn't actually have him at 18 weeks. He was still in at 18 weeks.
Yeah, and I carried him to full term.
Right. So I mean, that's very impressive. And absolutely no damage at all to him.
To him, no.
I mean, that's remarkable. No. It's remarkable. And so the surgery, when they
and quiet and focused that he was going to be born no matter what, and that was how it was.
I mean, just for because you said you had to have surgery on your stomach to put it back in. That didn't interfere with his baby at all.
No, I waited till afterwards.
You waited till afterwards.
Yeah,
okay.
That's why I said 2008. That was 2006. happened 2008. I breastfed him till he was nearly 2.
Right. Okay.
He was
Right.
18 months.
Right. And so, yeah. Okay. So it's quite remarkable that I mean, yeah. You said I definitely. I reckon it is a miracle child for that to continue to be able to survive that. I mean, it's quite remarkable. So you said you never went back after that
No.
experience, and so where did you start to look? What did you start to research? How did you start to think? Well, what did you start to think in terms of what? How am I going to get better? What was your next step?
Well, my first of all, because I could feel things internally when he was doing all the invasive tests, he was basically doing nerve tests. And I'd had a complete collapse of my nervous system. So the nerves had actually been severed in the abdomen where they'd been operated on so many times. They just weren't connected. So signals from my brain weren't going down. So I researched that first, and it led me to finding out about Qigong. And I've been a Qigong practice religiously several times a day ever since then. I mean, I started paralyzed, flat on my back, but I was introduced to a guy online called Bruce Francis, who he also had a broken back and several injuries when he started. And he's now one of the top specialists in the world for teaching Qigong. So it's internalized. So you start with internal work and that radiates outwards. And I'm fairly certain that process, going through that sort of mixed martial arts mindset and process of Qigong, and then later taking up Tai Chi.
Yeah.
I mean, even from paralyzed, I still did the work, and so by the time I could sit and go in and move my arms and do that work in person, I was already there because the mindset was already there. I'd already been training extensively to use my inner organs, my inner nerve channels, my inner muscles, rather than conventional exercises from the outside in. So conventional rehabilitation, I didn't stand a chance.
Yeah, I think people need to understand it's like so you think people out there that are listening that don't know Qigong and Tai Chi, it's something that we use in our programs like a lot because it's people, as you said there before, conventional exercises from the outside in, and it's what we call working out. You know, things that people go to the gym and they work out and they can feel good afterwards because they've released endorphins, but then they can feel quite tired because they've used their body's life force energy. Whereas Qigong and Tai Chi are all about cultivating energy and working in. It's what we call working in. So they actually leave the body with more life force than when they started. So it's what the chi in Tao means energy. It's what the Indians call prana. And so it's very interesting you mentioned that because it's just trying to get people, because a lot of people out there, Qigong and Tai Chi are still, I mean, people might know Tai Chi and they might have seen it in like maybe movies, or they might know something. They might Tai Chi's getting a bit bigger, but Qigong is still relatively underground in terms of people knowing what Qigong is. And you say it's like a martial arts thought behind it, but they're more of like moving slow. Well, Tai Chi's like a moving meditation. Qigong's more of like a moving breath work that really allows you to stimulate your body's chi, your body's life force. And when you've done these, you can really feel energized like internally, and you can actually feel these
every cell.
Every
it's
cell.
Not just muscles, it's through every cell, every hair even.
100%. I mean, there's a practice, I don't know if you've actually done it in the group, I'll send it to you, it's like Tai Chi circles, and you can actually feel afterwards the buzz around you. This is why people don't understand how important this sort of healing is. People think it's like woo-woo, and I say to people, have you ever walked into a room and felt the energy not great? You're like, oh, it doesn't feel good in here. That is the frequency, that is the energy, and this is what people need to understand. And everything is energy, and so when it comes to healing and being able to put that life force, that energy, that chi through your body, and working at a cellular level, all the way through to the organs, through to the nerves, the autonomic nervous system, all the way through. I mean, giving your body that life force, and also giving your mind that stimulation, that visualization of how it's working internally, as well as even eventually externally. It's a big play. It's like I can't remember. There's actually a study showing someone that I think it was a martial artist who broke his leg, and every night he was doing Qigong and Tai Chi, but he's also internally he was listening to sound vibrations healing.
That's Steve Rowe.
Yeah, it might be Steve Rowe.
Martial arts. I trained with them.
Right.
Being paralyzed through to walking, becoming a runner, and then doing kung fu. I trained with them. I just want to add something though, because you touched on it briefly, and before we go off, I want to just come back. You said about working out and working within. When I was properly training, like going and sitting in my wheelchair at first, and then when I could stand for 10 seconds only, I still carried on doing it. It was being still and focusing inwards was harder than any aerobic exercise or weightlifting workout I've ever done since. So it was learning to stand, learning to be still, and just concentrate on what every single millimeter of your body is actually doing on the inside. That is stunning work. It's not just for the faint-hearted. I mean, people go to these classes. I've seen it hundreds of times. They go to these classes and think, oh, I'll do this nice relaxing thing, but to actually focus and really get to know your body internally is an amazing journey. And I'm 1,000,000,000% really sort of overwhelmed that I did that, because it's that which saved me. And it put me in touch with people were saying, doctors were saying, oh, you're never going to use your legs again. You're never going to be able to walk again. And I was like, yeah, but they're just looking at the outside. There's thousands of parts inside that I'm sure I can reach. And I did. And it's just, their way was dosing me up on painkillers, tranquilizing drugs, diazepam, all sorts of mind-numbing substances, because they thought that I was upset. I was upset because I didn't want to listen to what they were saying.
Well, it's these ancient practices. I think it's what you said there is huge. People don't understand how. This is why people don't like to meditate, because they say they can't sit still, they can't just relax or be with themselves. So doing things like these practices, it gets you to know yourself a little bit better as well, in terms of
100%.
Yeah, how long you can just sit with yourself. There's a lot of people don't like. This is why people are in the constant world of distraction, because they don't actually like to sit with their own thoughts. They actually like themselves, or they don't like what they might think about. And these are the thoughts that, people are so focused on left brain logic rather than creativity and actually going inward and actually understanding. People don't like to meditate. So some of the things that we do on a program, right, Helen, we go like discovery walks, or I say just put the phone away and just have a little walk and think about things. It's amazing what you can come up with.
Me anymore.
No, it's amazing what you can come up with.
Since the program, I never take it out when I go out.
And so, I mean, that's huge, because it gives you time just to sit and think about things, right? And that's something that most people in today's world don't do anymore, because they're constantly having some sort of distraction, whether it be the mobile phone, whether it be a TV, like program, podcast. I mean, great that it's got some information out there, but sometimes, there's that internal thought, that your gut feeling, you know when things are right or wrong. It's like the moral compass. No one has to tell you, and so you get a feeling, and that's it's almost trying to be numbed out by the amount of things that we're doing today in terms of poor food quality, poor water, and then all these energetic frequencies. But it's something that no machine can tell you that. And it's just a feeling you've got within inside you. And when you do more work like it becomes louder and louder, and it's harder for you to ignore. And like your intrinsic gut feeling, I always say to people, has it ever led you wrong? When you think about your gut feeling, has it ever led you wrong?
Never.
No, and that's because
I think from in my case in particular, obviously, it was a massive thing that happened to me. I was on my way out one day. It was just past 10 o'clock in the morning, and this thing happened. So having a baby, it was a distraction. I had him, I breastfed him. I then started the road with trying to fix it. But it was like there was so much dark demons. There was many, many weeks, months, I don't even know, where I'd just be lying there, willing myself to not wake up, just to be gone, because I just couldn't handle the overwhelming sensation that this thing had happened, and nobody was listening to me. Everyone was just like, oh, she's upset, the poor love, she's upset, of course she's sad, but I didn't want to be in that position. I didn't want to be lying there just with people having to bring me things and listening to my children playing, And I'm pretty sure I closed my eyes one day and I opened them about 9 months later, and it was Christmas. It was like, because I was so dosed up on drugs, and I didn't want that, because I'd never taken anything before, so I just didn't want that existence. And then it was most profound when I was doing the work, the internal work. It was like, the guy, he was from Qigong martial arts. He just kept saying to me, before you can move, you have to learn to be still. You have to like it. You have to love it. You have to fall in love with being still and just being you in that stillness. So that was the first part. I mean, that took many months. And by the time
it's amazing. That's good. That is in terms. So for you to in order for you to move, you have to love being still.
Yeah, I literally, I couldn't get my head around it. I was like, what the hell? And they were giving me, one guy gave me a clipboard to hold. Right, no word of a lie. He said to me, I want you to hold your hand out. And he put the clipboard on my hand. And he said, right, in 10 minutes, that's going to feel like a kilo. And, he said, I want you to keep your arm perfectly still. You're not allowed to move a single millimeter. And of course, the resistance from the clipboard being placed on my hand, I started to learn what that meant. In your arm, how many millimeters are in your arm? And the weight of that clipboard slowly started to penetrate down millimeter by millimeter by millimeter until it got to my bicep and my tricep. And then I got to know what they were, and my brain could register what they were. And so through stillness, I learned where every muscle in my body was by doing these simple things. And when they first started talking to me about this, I thought they were insane. I was like, but I just want to walk, and they were giving me clipboards to hold.
It's a little bit like a little bit like the Karate Kid when he's like Mr. Miyagi is giving them all these ancient wisdom. They've been around for a reason. They're around for a reason. They have these sayings for a reason, because it's like whatever you think the opposite is true. But when they like, for example, he wants to learn how to do martial arts, and he's getting into wax on and wax off, and what little does he know, he's actually teaching him the defense move. But this is what they do. A lot of martial arts has got a lot of wisdom, and people question it, and then they realize there's an aha moment. Oh, what they're trying to teach me, and very, very important.
Just kept feeding it in. You're a needle in cotton wool right now. There's a needle in there. It's going to be sharp, focused. It's going to reach out when the time comes. But at the moment, you're soft, you're cotton wool. This is the state we want you in, so you can learn. And my ego was like, well, what the hell is going on here? I didn't want to know. I just wanted to get up and move. I just wanted to move something.
So how did you find this guy?
Online, Bruce Francis, first of all.
What persuaded you to go down that route? Because it's quite a niche to say, oh, I'm going to start doing Qigong. If I go from somewhere like that, they're saying you're never going to be able to move again, to you looking it up and finding them. What was it that made you find that?
Basically, the basic plain truth of it is, I just started typing in various injuries into Google and asking. I wanted to meet somebody who had really recovered, and I wanted to see how they really recovered. And during that process, I came into contact with some doctors, private doctors in Singapore, Chinese therapists. And Bruce Francis, he was very fluent in Chinese, but he lives in Australia. And he'd had a broken back. He was attacked. He had a broken back. And he got up from that, and he was pretty much doing his Qigong practice pretty much straight away, and it saved his life. And I wanted to speak with him and find out. I wanted to know, how, why, what happened, and through once I'd got the word Qigong, then I started learning, and that led me to Qigong martial arts was fairly local to me at the time where I was living, and I contacted them, and then I learned of Steve Rowe's injuries, and it was like the universe was guiding me all the way, because he had phenomenal injuries, like you say, about his leg. They'd told him he'd never have that leg. He was supposed to have it amputated, but there he was, still teaching with it. So challenges be gone.
Yeah.
There was no challenges to me. I mean, I later, obviously, because of all the surgeries and everything, I did start to develop cancer cells, but I had an immune response because immune deficiency. I had no spleen. My pancreas had gone. they started saying, that my body just couldn't cope, and it had started shutting down, and cancer cells had started to progress with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. But even then, I was so far into the journey by then, and I'd already started following you, and I'd already started listening to your podcast by then. And then, of course, Jason Christoph joined the party, and he was all about self-sabotage. And I realised that perhaps that was a key component to what subconsciously I had been doing. So I gave back my Motability car, which I was never using. I gave back all the disability benefits, which I didn't want, because I in my head, I wasn't disabled, and I just carried on going. And I carried on doing work. And then I got myself to a reasonable level of health, and then I contacted you so we could sort out the rest.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So when you got that, so this is the thing. So you're going through it, you're getting better, and then you get that. Saying we used to get some cancerous cells. Was that a big shock to the system?
Yeah, because they were saying that I'd be dead within 100 days because they couldn't treat everything.
But it takes quite a strong. Well, it takes. I want you to get into that, but I just want to say people out there. It takes a strong person to get through that, because a lot of people, what happens when the doctor says you'll be dead in a year or 6 months is they die. They literally, their body and their mind are intrinsically linked, and they believe it because they've been taught for such a young age that doctors are rock stars. Everything they say is right. The doctor doesn't believe it. It's amazing. I mean, I'm dealing with one of my cousins at the moment. Has got a brain tumor, and they doctors come in and said something the other day, and I was like, why would you ever say that to someone? Like all you're doing is just putting a death sentence on someone, and it's like they don't realise the power of their words hold for a lot of people. For me, it doesn't hold anything, because I unless it's a accident, emergency, when it comes to chronic illness and stuff, I know they're absolutely full of nonsense. But when for a lot of people, that period of time is a death sentence for them, right? So
I've already had pretty much 5 years of martial arts mindset training,
right?
And I was listening to my body, not listening to them, and I didn't want any labels assigned to me. So I said, I'll take it under advisement, and I walked out. And what that meant was I will listen to my body and do what needs to be done.
So how did they find the cancerous cells? What tests did they done?
I was seeing a guy, and he was extremely vain. And I was walking around with him, and when we went out, my nose was permanently dripping. And he kept saying to me, will you please go and get this checked out? Will you please? It looks terrible. You look like you've been sniffing cocaine or something. He was extremely vain. He didn't like the way it looked. So one day I just said, all right, I'll get it checked out. I'll see if my sinuses are what they're doing, because I thought maybe an allergy to something, maybe pollution. They'd built a huge bus garage behind my house round about the same time it was finished, and it was round about then my nose was streaming for months, many months. And so I did go and get it checked out. I thought they were going to tell me it was something to do with menopausal, because I'm in my late 40s. And no, when I went for the results, they we're very sorry. There's very little hope. We have found non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it's spread everywhere.
Okay, and you said?
Well, I said, well, what does that mean? How long do you? What are you saying? I was absolutely gobsmacked, and they said, well, within 100 days, so like 3 months. And I was like, yeah, okay, but not today though, yeah.
So not today. So this is
fine in this moment.
Right. I was about to say to you, when you went there, so 100 days, almost without a shot them, but when you went there, was you feeling bad? Did you feel like you had anything that was going to kill you in 100 days?
That's wrong with me. I just had a dripping nose.
The only thing that would have killed you in 100 days would have been the chemotherapy they had to put you on.
What they wanted to do was cut a great big slash down the front of my abdomen, remove the metal wall, and go in with what they call a gamma knife, which would have left me on zapped with radiation, like it's I think it's 200 times stronger than standard radiotherapy. And then I would have been on kidney dialysis for 3 to 4 times a week, progressing up to 5 or 6 times a week. And I was like, are you out of your minds? I was paralyzed for 7 years. I can now walk, run and dance, have sex, and you think I'm going to paralyze myself again? Not in a million years. I'd rather die. And that was that.
And what did they say?
I just left them to it. I've left them arguing with themselves.
So
They were saying, you're battling cancer. I said, no, love, you're battling cancer. I'm just being me. Thank you very much.
Well, this is the thing I always say to people. This is what people don't. So they don't realise that doctors cut, burn, poison, medicate. They fight disease, whereas what we do and people like that, we regenerate health. We don't deal with disease. We deal with the person who's got a disease. But even then, the fact that you're walking in feeling fine, you think if someone had 100 days to live, they would be.
You'd think I'd have something, or some keys.
You're feeling, especially with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, you feel that you'd be in a very bad way, in a way that 100 days to live. So, I mean, you're talking a third of a year, 3 and a bit months. You think someone's going to be very, very ill. The fact
I was just a bit tired. I thought maybe it was the flu coming on or something like that. I didn't, because I was eating really healthily because I had had the dramatic weight loss. I was eating really healthily, eating really well, taking really good care of myself. I didn't understand a word they were saying, and I didn't believe it for one moment.
So just for the people out there, when was this diagnosis?
December the 3rd, 2015.
So almost 5 years. For 5 years, yeah. So of course that's a long 100 days.
Yeah.
That's a long 100 days. So and if you listen to them, imagine how different life could have been. Honestly,
I can't tell you. I mean, my first instincts were run. Look at how they treated you when you lost all your abdominal organs. Run, get the hell out of there. And I mean, I was in shock. Don't get me wrong.
Of course, you'd be in shock. Yeah, you'd be in shock.
About 3 weeks solid, and I was, I had to peel myself off the ceiling every day just to sit up and do day-to-day things. But after I got over that initial terrifying shock, I was absolutely fine. And I started saying to people, please don't talk to me like, I'm some sort of victim. I'm not buying this. This is bullshit. I just want to be me. Please just carry on treating me exactly the same. Needless to say, nearly everyone I know now is new because I didn't want to be treated like that woman that had cancer,
It's amazing how many people that know a version of yourself that doesn't exist anymore as well. It's like they want to hold on to the old you because it a lot of times gives them a safety, whereas the new you can actually it can make them feel less than. If you've gone to greater, bigger things and they haven't, they like to try and bring you down to who you were before or try and recognise you as who you were before because that allows them some safety net into what they've been doing. So it's no coincidence that people I know that have all going places and doing things, their circle changes to people that are more aligned with what they're doing. And so, I mean, 4 years, well, 16, 17, 18, yeah, about 4 years ago, so that's awesome. And so, and from that, have you been back and had any tests for cancer?
No, I had thermal imaging last year, and then this year, completely gone.
And what did you do? What did you do? What did you do to heal yourself so miraculously? As they would put it under in the medical industry, they'd put it under miraculous recovery. What was your miraculous recovery? Did you go to Lourdes and drink the holy water?
I completely changed my nutritional intake. I ate for certain areas of the body rather than as a diet with the word die in it. I always say I ate to target certain areas of the body. So at different times of the day, I'd be focused on my kidneys or focused on my liver or focused on my non-existent immune system. And I just basically, I had to grow a core, so from scratch. So I was very, very sensitive in anything coming up to jeopardize that. And I was hanging on to it no matter what. So once I'd got a core in there, in the abdomen, so I was eating to enhance that area. So even though organs were missing, I was still feeding it and still enhancing it. And then I moved on to Rick Simpson's CBD oil, which I made myself. So once this goes out, I totally expect some sort of backlash from that. But no, I did the whole
I know.
100 milligrams,
I'm about to
100
say,
milligrams of that.
yeah, I've got if tell me what episode number it is, but I've interviewed Rick Simpson. So
Yeah,
yeah, the backlash
yeah,
from that.
I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I made my own. I did the whole 100 grams of that. So I lost about 3 months doing that because obviously, you are on the ceiling. And then I moved on to asking people to help me finish the job with a high strength vitamin C intravenous at a private clinic, which you basically go and they hook you up to a machine, and 100 milligrams of high strength vitamin C goes in, and it's pretty pricey every day. So members of the public who follow me on Facebook, they actually raised the money for that, and they were saying, "No, you're our dragonfly lady. You have to make it," and they paid for the treatment basically. And so I went for that for 3 months, 12 weeks, and then it was almost all gone, but there was still some lingering. So I had a second round 6 months later, and then last year. And then since then, I've just basically been learning, and eating and changing everything that I've put into my body. And most recently now, I made sure that I was in full, it was fully all gone before I contacted you, because I didn't want that coming back up to bite me on the ass and jeopardizing what we were doing. So,
well, the thing for people out there as well, Helen, it's like it's different. I would like to say to people, everyone likes to think that their illness is unique, but the way you heal anything is the way you heal everything, with a few subtle differences. And I try and say it to people because someone said, "I've got this, I've got that." It's, yeah, wherever your weakness is, that's what comes out. And people don't understand that. Obviously, there's lifestyle and diet factors, and then there's things like you've done there, hydrogenated vitamin C therapy. There's lots of different things. There's NHD now. There's lots of different ways to go about it, and powerful immune boosting. And people don't, vitamin C therapy, intravenous vitamin C therapy in general. I mean, people don't understand how powerful it is. I mean, Dr. Richard Klenner, I think it was, Dr. Klenner, in 1940 cured 60 out of 60 cases of polio with vitamin C, and that was a terrible form of vitamin C. And people don't understand how powerful it is. And then obviously you got all different vitamins, vitamin D, which is not really a vitamin, but I mean, there's so many different ways to go about it in terms of things you can do to boost someone's immune system, to increase health. Chronic hydrotherapies, enemas. Yeah, there's loads. There's so many things. I mean, saunas. I mean, you can go into a lot of different things. I mean, now there's more and more things. There's more and more things coming out, and red light therapies. I mean, there's so many things that you've got. Sound healings, float tanks. I mean, you go into it, and so.
Oh, I became a sound healer in the process as well.
Right.
I did a diploma in vibrations, and I was basically placing singing bowls, various notes of singing bowls, over my abdomen and using them. And my little boy, my miracle son, he's also a sound healer, and he does the work as well. So on the days when I was too tired or I was just too weak, for want of a better word, he would be over me with the singing bowls and the gong and everything. So yeah, I had a fairly constant stream of vibration changing therapy as well, which we did at home ourselves.
It's really important. Like people, once again, it's all energy, it's all frequency. And this is what people need to. I try to say to people, I've said it a few times on the podcast, and I'll say it again. Like when people eat stuff, instead of thinking of like good and bad food, think of it like positive energy frequencies. They're all different. Positive energy's got lots of different frequencies. But if you're putting positive frequencies into your body, certain things they're going to unblock chakras. They're going to give your body what it wants in terms of the frequency to heal, and that comes from like the same as like vitamin C. It's a positive frequency, or a green drink is a positive frequency compared to something that's going to be a negative frequency. And so it's an easier way to think about things like that for people. But sound healing, sound is huge. That's why music can change people's psychology and physiology just like that. Like, you can put on like a good song, people like all of a sudden they start jumping around because it's the frequencies, people love it. But as compared to like you put on a sad song, people can start feeling, it's what music, and even watch a film, how much the music in a film can make you feel scared, or it can make you feel happy or sad, and it's all frequencies. And so it's really it's powerful to people to realise that. So you got to the point where you got rid of it, but when you come to us, there were still certain things that you wanted to work on, right?
Yeah, because I had been eating to target cancer cells for quite a consistent long period of time. I'd been eating in a way to banish stuff from my body. And so I really because I'd learned quite the bulk of the work that I was doing. I'd actually learned it from your podcast and your guests. I'd go away and contact them privately and say, look, this happened to me. I need advice on this, and I'd be learning. I'd be constantly learning. But it started from your journey. I was feeding off your experience, and because I have 100% respect for you because you've gone through quite a journey yourself and come out the other side. And so, I'd rather listen to someone like that that's already been there. And so I was following you for quite a while, and so I wanted help with just enhancing my body because I'd been able to get my health to a certain level, but then it kept dropping back and getting back up to that same level, then dropping back and then getting back up to that same level. I wanted to go past that level, and I was getting more and more frustrated and tired. And I thought, well, obviously I'm missing something, something key. And obviously I was missing something key, which I've now since learned with working with yourself. But also, like I said, my whole circle is brand new. I didn't know where to turn. People, there's only so many times you can sit there and you're staring into space and people will go, where are you? What are you thinking? And you go, I'm just wondering what I should plan for eating later. And there's only so many times you can say that before people start getting fed up. But I'm very, very extremely dedicated and driven. And, there isn't a single minute of the day where I'm not thinking of some way of enhancing myself.
Well, when you've been through it, yeah. Well, when you've been through it, that's what I say to people, like, you don't do healthy things and become a healthy person. You become a healthy person mentally, and the healthy things just come and say, like, when I think about people who say stuff to me, if I go on a trip or whatever I'm doing and I'm doing things different, sometimes people say, oh, isn't that hassle? I'm like, no, it doesn't bother me at all. Like, taking certain things with me, or doing things a certain way, or, opting out of the airport scanner, all these things that people think is a hassle. It's just me, it's just what I do. And same as you, it's just who you become. And so it's what I wanted to get, same as you.
People treat you like you're weird.
Yeah,
it's like that you're I have albinism, so I don't have any pigment. So I've got, pure white hair, eyelashes, my skin's very pale. And so I get treated weirdly anyway. But once I open my mouth and start going on with all this like food and drink stuff, and it's like people were like, oh, go on, just have some ice cream. I don't eat sugar. Sugar feeds cancer cells.
But they haven't been. But this is the thing, Helen.
Yeah.
They haven't been.
They just don't understand.
They haven't.
I'm talking rubbish, know.
But they haven't been where you are. But your story should be evidence enough of like where you were and where you come from to get someone to understand like what you're talking about. Because as you said before, that's why you said you listen to me because of what I've been through. So that's why I wanted to get you on the podcast. So I want people to understand like this is a lady that's been through all this trauma before. Told that she wouldn't be able to walk again, went through all that, then got diagnosed with cancer, 100 days left to live, and she's still here, looking better than she's ever done, feeling better than she's ever done 4 years later, because she didn't listen to the conventional mainstream nonsense, which would have had her in the ground 100 days later, and she's still here with her kid.
Been within 30 days, because if I'd have gone down that road, I would have given up.
Yeah, and well, this is the thing. It's the same with people. This is the whole thing about like chemotherapeutic drugs and the drugs they use, like Anzacs, they use for HIV and AIDS. So these are drugs that completely destroy the immune system, and people wonder why people are dead. Like the drug AIDS. If people want to look into AIDS and HIV, there's a great person out there called Dr. Robert Wilmer, who's got a great podcast, a great video out there, a great book called The Deadly Deception. Talks about how you can't catch AIDS from sex. You'd need a whole blood transfusion. He used to get someone on stage who had AIDS, and he used to take blood out of them and inject it into themselves on stage and say you can't get AIDS from that. You need a whole blood transfusion, and you get it from other deficiencies. And he goes into a big talk about it, and it's about how someone would go to see them, test them for AIDS. There was no actual test for AIDS antibodies. They just test for high antibodies and whatever. You have a cold, they say, oh, you've got AIDS. They'll start giving you these drugs, and within like 3 months you'd be dead. You get a little bit better when they get you on a blood transfusion. Obviously, there's more to the story than this. I'm giving the cliff notes, but these drugs that they give you to fight these things are just immune suppressing drugs that completely destroy people, and people don't understand it. You know what the funny thing is? It's even like if you watch the film out called Dallas Buyers Club with Matthew McConaughey, where he negates all the things they're doing. He starts getting in all all the supplements that are boosting him up. Everyone's feeling really healthy. What happens? They realise he's doing this. They shut him down. He has to go back on their drugs. And what happens is he's in the ground. So, people say conspiracy theories.
Going back to Jason Christophers talking about self-sabotage and how the system keeps you small. That totally resonated with me, because when they removed my spleen and 3/4 of my pancreas, they told me I'd have immune deficiency for the rest of my life. I'd never be able to use a public swimming pool, go to the gym, sauna, or any of those things. And I was heartbroken, because I've been a swimmer since I was a toddler.
But if you believed them, that would have been the truth.
Exactly. And I didn't take any of their drugs. I never took any of their immune suppressant therapy. I just didn't want it. I was like, I'm dying, right? You told me I'm dying. Therefore, just let me be. I don't want to know. It's like when I was injured, they were constantly plying me with mind-numbing tranquilizers, and then telling everybody I was mental. Because I was saying, this isn't how I want to be, and I didn't have a choice, because I was paralyzed. I couldn't move. I pleaded with my husband at the time. I've since divorced, but I pleaded with him at the time, please don't let anyone walk in the room and inject me with anything. And, he would just sit there like a dummy. People would just walk in the room, walk around the bed and stick something in my leg. And I'd be like, what is it? What is it? And it was like this constant conveyor belt of drugs. So as soon as I could, I walked away from all of that. I didn't want to know about that,
I completely understand. I've met people I talk to on a daily basis when we do consultations. Just today I was on the phone to a lady, and she's on 12 different drugs. And I was like, how are you expected to feel good when you're on this much medication? And she's like, I know it's not doing me any good. I was like, well, why are you taking it then? She said, well, because the doctor said so. I was like, okay. But what would your mum used to say to you when you're younger? If someone jumped off the cliff, would you follow them? Would you do it? It's like the same thing. It's like, well, is it working? Here's the simple. I like to go back to simple stuff. Is it working? No. Cool. So why don't you stop? And this is the thing. It's like so going to lots of different areas here, but is it working? It's like, okay, you're fighting cancer. We're going to give you an immune suppressing drug. Well, surely I need my immune system to fight. So surely I need to have my immune system to fight cancer. Oh, right, yeah. And so this is where all these things are. It's like, as he said, as Jason talks about a lot, and David Icke and people like that talk about, they invert stuff. They make you think that black is white and white is black. And
it's terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying. But when you're fighting
fear
standard way, when you're fighting it, they do come at you pretty heavy-handed. They were looking at me whether I was a good parent. They were looking at me whether I was, a solid individual, whether I had mental illness. They were looking at all these things, and I was like, for God's sake, I'm injured. There's nothing wrong with my brain. Of course I'm overwhelmed. Of course I'm upset, because you keep doing things that I have said that I specifically do not want. And this was like a revolving door.
Well, that's the thing. It's like the guy I interviewed, Stephen, and whose child who died. They tried in Canada. Can't remember his surname. He's David Stevens, and
yes.
and they were like they tried to. He has to go always to Supreme Court. They put him away for not being negligence because of what they think is right. And it gets to that point where it frustrates you to the point where your cells in your body get infuriated, because it's just like the law is, what they're saying is complete and utter nonsense fabrication, because it's a law, or because someone with a wig has said that's what goes. It's like the law of the land and what is compared to what they. It's just, if you listen to David's story, I've actually interviewed him on here. Go back and listen to it. Yeah, so I'm talking to the audience, but you go back and listen to it, and the result he's got now, all the way to the High Court, shows that they fabricated evidence, shows that they hid stuff to try and put him away. It's amazing. And people will talk about conspiracies. It's like they are being committed everyday conspiracies, and Helen's living proof here, like, of what you can do when you don't listen to the advice that, at the end of the day, as you said, Helen, if I'm going to be dead anyway, well, let me go in peace. Because, it's funny that you didn't feel like you were dying, but they told you were dying. And that's like
my take on it was, well, if that is going to be a thing for me, it's going to be my way, not yours.
and so yeah, and that's the thing. At the end of the day, you're living your life on your terms. So when you came to us, what was the things that you were still looking to work on? Because I know we've done a few.
Words. Well, throughout all the treatments and the various eating, I had put on 60 pounds, and I'd lost, I think, 40 when I contacted you, and I really wanted to lose another 65. And I really wanted to get it over the 65 months. I wanted to lose about 25 pounds. So that was in the back of my mind, because I never wanted to be a big person ever again either. I'd been growing a beard, and one of the first things I said to you was, I just want to be a woman.
Mm.
Don't make me do anything that's going to make me even more masculine. I've been fighting for so long. And not fighting, but you have to have an aggressive approach to tackle certain things. And so I felt like I had been aggressive for quite a long time, and I wanted to be feminine and pretty and just enjoy being a woman for a while. And so that was one of the other things, was getting in touch with my feminine being, and also learning a different way to eat that's going to sustain me for life for a very long time, not just, because I had been eating to target certain conditions and certain illnesses, and I wanted to know how to not injure myself. There's, a lot of people have the mindset where they come through a certain set of circumstances and they're saying, oh, great, I can get back to how I was before. But how I was before this happened to me was massively overweight and really unhealthy and unfit. And, I don't ever want to be like that again. So that wasn't a thing for me. I didn't want to be back how I was before. I wanted to be new and improved and carry on being it.
Exactly, the same as me, yeah. Well, you look in the mirror and you go, this is how I want to be.
Yeah.
Not like that.
I wanted to follow somebody that was already doing it. So I contacted you and said, please help me. I keep getting these sores on my skin. I'm obviously eating something it worked before, but now it's not working. I'm getting sores on my skin. They're very deep. They're very, very painful. Hair's growing through. I can't cope with this, and I wanted you to help me. And I think I actually started crying when you said you would, because I was so relieved that somebody actually listened to me and heard what I said, because that was new. Nobody really takes any notice of what I say, which is quite, when I say if I say I'm going to plant a rocket on the moon and get out and walk naked on it for half an hour, people should just buy tickets, because it's obviously a done deal because I've just said it. That's the sort of person I am. So I being heard the first time I've opened my mouth is quite rare, and I was really humbled and thankful.
It was. I mean, absolutely welcome, and that's what I think. I mean, I did a video on it yesterday. Like, how can you know what people need if you don't listen to them, or if you haven't asked them the questions? And we go through quite a deep consultation. But not just that. I remember one of the first things that I remember. You may forget. Sometimes happens because you don't realise it anymore. But I remember you saying that you had your bowel movements for the first time. You had a great bowel movement in a long period of time, and that's a lot of it. So people that obviously listening to our podcast are probably they know how important the gut is and gut health is. But like for someone who'd been eating even a particular way to stave off cancer, doing that, the fact your gut still wasn't right in terms of getting right. Obviously you've had trauma to it and you've had things taken out, and it's not as everyone else's is. But the fact that we could then get that better, for me, was huge, because it just showed that everything was moving in the right direction.
So quick as well. I think it was within 10 days of starting the program. I actually went to the toilet and I thought, what the hell's going on? It was a shock to my system. I had to actually sit down for 20 minutes and absorb what had just happened. That my body had made a normal stool.
Yeah.
I screamed out to the kids. I was like calling my daughter saying, I've just gone to the toilet.
But
she said, what do you mean, Mum? No. I said, well, I've just had a shit.
Mm-hmm.
It was really phenomenal. They were jumping up and down and clapping.
But it's the sort of things, simple things that people forget. Like if you haven't been there, these sort of things, and once you get the bowel movement, get a bit out, and all it was, it's just getting the body to find its equilibrium again. I always say, like, You've never healed anyone. We're just giving the body the right circumstances to do that, because the body's natural state is health. It wants to be healthy. We just have to give it the right circumstances to do that and point in the right direction, and which we do. And when people follow, the only people we aren't able to help are generally people that aren't going to follow what we say, because in the day, like, I can't make people do it. And the others are people that have been so destroyed by conventional medicine that their bodies, it's just like clinging on, and we can do a certain amount of things, but sometimes these drugs that they use are very, very powerful, and people can be detoxing from chemotherapy from decades later, because their cells have been so destroyed, so hit hard by these things. They're powerful drugs. People don't realise what chemotherapy was used to.
For you, but I haven't had a chance to send it over just yet, because you've been a bit you've been away and you've been a bit preoccupied the last few days, so I was waiting for a chance. But basically, why I went with Revive is because your body, with me having to had to grow a core and muscle tone from scratch because I had none, being with Revive, it's put me in mind of this, that inside your abdominal cavity, imagine you have a bowl of water. And when things are out of balance, it tips and some of the water spills out. And your job is to go through life is to keep this bowl centered so that nothing falls out, and it's full of energy and it's full of water and it sustains you. But when things are out of kilter, it flops to the side or it flops forward and you lose vital fluid. And so being with Revive, it stabilizes that bowl. It keeps your mind focused on what you're putting in. What are you doing? Do you really have to sit there and graze eat through a movie? Do you really have to? Or are you going to think about what you're actually putting into this bowl that's going to turn into this magic liquid that's going to sustain your life? I think that Revive is like that. It's like an invisible bowl in your abdomen that you're going through and you're carrying, and you're feeding it, you're nurturing it, and you're loving it and keeping it nice and level and balanced. And you're there every day. How you doing? And conversation, and it's really good because it keeps your mind focused. It's having the support it's just missing everywhere else. Everywhere I've been, it's been me, myself, and I. And that's been really, really hard. And my children, obviously. It's been really, really hard. So having somebody just on the end of a microphone is quite phenomenal. I can't even put it into words, because I have been, pushed from pillar to post, and I have had to claw my way through, literally by the tips of my fingernails. And I've done that alone. And so now to have come this far, and the thought of doing something that might damage my insides was terrifying to me. I just didn't want that. And so, I came to the person who would know. And, here we are, sort of start of the 11th week.
Yep.
And, I've never felt more thriving, more full of energy, more bursting with life. I've never felt more energized.
You look at
in my entire life.
You look at it, like, you can see it radiates from the outside, and this is what I say. Thank you very much for that. I say, Helen, it's like, for me, it's why I love working with people like yourself, because it makes my job easy, because I'm to say this is that. You've got a question, we answer it, we go there. I always say to people, like, healing's never linear. It's never A to B. Sometimes you go down a road, okay, didn't work, we go down another one, or whatever it is. That's why I feel that level of support is so important, because everyone's different. Everyone's body's different. It reacts differently. Some people might get some results very, very quickly. Others might take a little bit longer. We're not robots. Everyone's got different mental, emotional issues going on, financial, romantic, maybe family things going on. So people don't realise the body summates stress, and all this comes up. So I think it's important. I don't understand these programs where people don't get that support, because people need it. Obviously, sometimes you need to take a little bit of time for things to embed, but having someone there, even coaches need coaches. I have coaches in certain levels of life, and it's just really important to have that support. And so before, that's why I like working with people. Like, I always ask a question before people come on board. I said, why do you think you're a good fit for the program? Because I want to make sure that people I'm working with are going to want to be there. And I also ask them how committed they are on a scale of 1 to 10 to getting the results. And anything below a 7, I don't have much interest in, because I'm like, you're not there yet. You're not going to be ready to do what needs to be done. When you get to a certain level of health, and you're able to step outside the lines a little bit, it's fine. You get back on the horse, or whatever you might do. I always say to people, it's not what you do every now and again that matters. It's what you do the majority of the time. So people like at Christmas, for example, if they have a birthday, it's like, don't worry. It's not what you're doing all the time. But people that are just not willing to live the life. I said before, it is a lifestyle. It's a different way of approaching life. You're not going to go down to the cafe with your mates and have a fry up every morning, and have the coffee and combine all these foods, and it's just a nightmare. And if you do, you'll learn the hard way not to do it again very quickly, because it hurt.
It was listening to Jason Christoph that made me go caffeine free.
Yeah, the funny thing is with that, I've never been into coffee, and one of my first mentors years ago, Ruben Tabares, I've interviewed him on his phenomenal, yeah. Ruben, and then Graham. I've never been into coffee. I've always, anything that stimulates the central nervous system synthetically, like artificially, anything that depletes your body of minerals and vitamins, anything that, yeah, I mean, people will say it's full of antioxidants. Yeah, well, so's like a blueberry, or so's a lot of other foods. Yeah, spinach and Paldacco tea, cat's claw tea, Quadrupedra. You've got graviola teas.
I love the teas.
Yeah, you've got so many other teas that are immune boosting, anti-parasitic, antimicrobial, like a million things that they're doing, and you don't need to have coffee. Coffee for most people is a social thing, or it's something because they're so. And then what happens is their body gets so used to that hit. The body's very, very clever. Not only has it got a circadian rhythm, it's actually got a weekly cycle. So, for example, if you play football every Tuesday evening, the body will give you more energy Tuesday evening because it knows you're going to be playing sport. Well, 24-hour cycle, it knows that every 24 hours at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, you're going to be having a coffee. It releases adrenaline. It stimulates. It's a nightmare. I mean, it's the most heavily sprayed crop in the world. It's very, very toxic. It's full of mycotoxin, a lot of it, aflatoxin. I mean, it's a nightmare for a lot of people. Obviously, people get addicted to it, but I think a lot of people as well get addicted to the fact it's a social thing. It's a bit become like instead of smoking, people go for a coffee. But you can go for.
I felt ashamed when I was listening to Jason speaking. Quite a few times I've heard him speaking now. And when I kept listening, I just kept repeating. I just kept playing them again and again and again and again. And I felt more and more a degree of shame, because I was that person that was waking up in the morning reaching for my 2-3 cups of coffee before I could function. I was that person. And I went caffeine free. I just stopped doing it. I just kept playing the podcast on repeat, and I just stopped doing it. Just like that. Just like a heartbeat. That voice.
People don't understand how powerful it is, because caffeine. It's most. I used to when I used to work in a gym.
Voice is evidently stronger than caffeine.
Yeah, the funny thing is proof. Like when I used to work in a gym, and I used to go into it, and literally I was the only person out of it. It didn't drink caffeine, didn't drink coffee, and they would all look like death in the morning. And I'd be like, "What's the matter?" Yeah. I just get out of bed and I can just go. These people needed like a cup of coffee or two, and I just be like, that can't be right. Like, you're literally having to put something into you that makes you feel alive.
Involved with anything I needed to have that I knew was bad. I didn't want to be in that position ever again. That's why I said I came to Revive, so that I could have a future and not damage my body.
So for example, instead of having the coffee, there's other things you can have, and what you're having now. I mean, you've got your Ancient and Brave, cacao, oncology, and you've also got your teas or greens drinks,
she's living fuel.
Well, that's one of the things I was going to say to you. But the best thing that you're doing as well, and then what we get people to do, is you're intuitively eating and you're listening to your body. And it's making a huge difference. For example, if you're not hungry, you don't just go and shove loads of food down, right? You go, okay, I'm not hungry now. I might need some nutrients. I might have a greens drink or something like that, which is powerful. And there's a lot of people. The funny thing is, everyone knows that, or everyone says that, or breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Everyone knows that, or things like that. And society, they talk a lot of bullshit.
It's programming. Everything is being programmed in from an early age. But you see, okay, as a psychologist's wet dream, if you will, my miracle son is homeschooled, and he wouldn't dream of doing any of those things. We go out and he's like, I'm not hungry, Mum. And then you offer him stuff, and he's like, so go on, you pick whatever you like. And he's like, no, I don't want any of it. And then we'll get home and he'll be like, right, can I have that? And he'll point and he'll be reaching for my shakes or my vegetables or whatever, or he'll ask me to do him chicken breasts or whatever, he eats real food.
It's as I said before, it's programming, and once people understand that, that's why people. It's funny. Some of my mates are like it. They just keep it. They continuously eating. I'm like, you don't need to be eating that much, mate. Oh yeah, well I get low energy. I was like, you just
That's why you
yeah exactly because you're too busy digesting food. So that's awesome. So we're 11 weeks in. We've got a bit further to go. And yeah, it's awesome the results again. What's the other thing you're doing at the moment, Helen? You've been talking, right? You've been out giving presentations.
Yes.
How's that been going?
I went into the Public Speakers University in July, and I was an absolute wreck. My legs were shaking. I couldn't breathe. And the reason was because I didn't feel 100% healthy.
Really?
I felt alien to myself. I was away from home. I was doing this intensive course. I got through the course and I graduated and I passed. However, straight after that, I contacted you because I knew that if I carried on the way I was going, I would be ill within a year. I knew it. I could feel it coming on because I was away from home and I was doing this intensive course to learn to be a public speaker. I was crashing and I felt really, really unwell. I couldn't put my finger on what it was. I just felt really unwell and really unhealthy. Even though I knew I wasn't unhealthy, I just felt really unhealthy and out of sorts. So I thought, right, that's it. And so I started the program. And then, so I've been doing public speaking since then. I met one of the coaches that was on the Public Speakers University. She and I clicked and bonded, Lisa King. We clicked and bonded, and she's been having me at her events, and I've been speaking, and it's been phenomenal. It's been absolutely amazing.
I mean, and this is people. This is one of the messages I want to get to people, whether it's with us or whether it's with someone else they resonate with. It's like sometimes taking that step, and just doing it. People talk about, oh, give all these people say, oh, I haven't got the finances, or I haven't got the time, I haven't got this. When it comes down to it, first of all, when you're ready, you'll do it. But the difference between working, I said before, I got coached in different areas of my life, and I know taking the step and working with them has been from going from here to there, from staying stuck to going there. And it's something that you just said there. It's something you know me for 2 years or whatever, but when you finally come to it, you're like, okay. And the difference has been what would I say to you? Not because it happens not just with us, but with other people who are doing really good work as well. From when you joined us 11 weeks ago to where you are now, how long do you reckon that would have taken you to get there on your own?
Oh, at least 18 months, probably more.
Yeah, and so it saves you a lot of time, right?
You see, because I feel that it's a huge display of strength asking someone for help.
100%.
I feel like I'm so proud of myself that I made that contact with you. I think it was after Stephanie's podcast. She really touched me because I'd listened to all the books. She was talking books on her podcast, and I'd listened to them all already. And I was thinking, but wait, this is where I need to be. These are the people I need to be speaking with. This is what, and I contacted you. So, I felt phenomenally stronger because of that, just that one initial contact. And then since then, it's been, daily. So, it's been, I know that if I'm worried about any slightest little thing, I don't contact you all the time, but if I was worried about any slightest little thing, I can. That, just having that, it's like a safety net.
Yeah.
So I think it would have taken me at least 18 months. And certainly I've lived with pain in my face and under my skin for such a long time now that being able to just sit here and talk, I had stopped talking. I had stopped talking to people because moving my face, it used to hurt so bad with the sores and everything all around my chin. I think I was sending you daily photos of the process.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it comes out. Yeah, I remember you sending those pictures. They did look very sore. It
was so painful. I had stopped talking. I stopped using the phone. I never wanted to be seen. I didn't want. I just couldn't handle it. The nerve pain was so intense. It was making my eyes flicker and everything. So just being able to sit here and talk like this, it's completely life-changing. It's life-enhancing.
That's awesome. I know you've got to get to what you got today? You going somewhere?
I'm going to the theatre with my friend Georgina. We're going to see some jazz.
Nice.
It's 1920s New Orleans jazz pianist and lady.
Where's that?
At Wilton's Music Hall. It's one of the oldest music halls originally built in the 1920s, still left in London.
Oh, nice.
So it's near Aldgate East.
Okay, all right. So it's near the city sort of way. All right, I got you.
Proper wood floorboards, proper authentic experience to go there.
Awesome. So enjoy that. I'm going to let you go because I know you've got to leave in like 15 minutes. But thank you very much for coming on, Helen. We'll get you. I'm sure people.
After listening to you for so long, and all the guests that you've had on, I'm just incredibly humbled to be here and blown away that you wanted to do this.
I wanted to talk to you because people that have got, we do a lot of people with a lot of issues. Some people like to keep their stuff private. Other people are quite happy to document it. I'm one of them people because I know the more that you document, you can change people's lives. And I remember with Steph on here because people don't realise how much the mental, emotional, and the physical are intrinsically linked. And then I wanted to get someone like you on here because your story is a fascinating one. Someone who's gone through so much. Someone who's been told by the medical industry more than once they won't be able to walk, they won't be able to do the things they love, that they have cancer, they've got 100 days to live, and you ignored it. You're still here 4 years later. Not only are you here, you're here thriving and living life better than you ever have, looking great. So, I mean, if people see that you can come out of things, what can they do?
Honestly, I don't think I'm anything too magical. You know, I'm just an ordinary person.
100%. But
I just wanted the very best for myself, and I'm taking it now. I'm doing it. I wouldn't ever settle for anything. I don't do half measures. I don't want to know about, I don't want anyone suggesting anything to me that goes against the work that we're doing. I don't want to know about it.
But that's what I mean. And as you said before, people have inspired you, and I'm pretty sure that this will inspire a lot of people. And that's what I wanted to.
Even if it reaches just one person and stops them lying there willing themselves to die like I was, it would be phenomenal just to reach just one.
Powerful.
Because I was in a very seriously dark place. I mean, I'd been assaulted in the worst possible way. I'd had a near-death experience. I had died, basically, and a policeman called Steve had brought me back to life. And I've got this huge scar on my neck that I used to cover up with my hair. And since doing this program, I've had all my hair cut, so I don't need to hide that anymore. And it feels fantastic. It actually really does, because I don't even know why I was hiding it before. It doesn't look ugly or anything. It's just like a dent in my neck. Yeah. But I was hiding it and clinging on to it. And through doing this, I'm an avid journal keeper, and I teach journaling as well. I'm about to release a series of online workshops for that, so look out for those.
Awesome. Where is your
in a book? Yeah, because I'm an avid journal keeper. I've been a journal keeper since 2003. So I've actually journaled every facet of this process,
awesome.
Going right back. And it's about to become published. I'm about to fly to New York to sign a contract for that publishing deal, because I didn't want to just publish it online I wanted a physical book.
Awesome.
So I've done an amazing deal.
Do we get a mention?
Yeah, of course.
I'm joking. Yeah. So where can people? So when it's, I'm about to fly out to New York to finalise the deal, and then I'll release details. I'm not allowed to release details private before signing my. I want to get paid, obviously. Yeah. But would it be? But so your website, Helen.
I'm looking at 20th of January to the 30th of January for the release date.
Nice. What's your website again, Helen? For people out there,
it's CelebrateLifeGuild.global.
CelebrateLifeGuild.global. I'll put it in the thing, yes. But I'm sure people will be able to find your book on there when it comes out, right?
Oh, definitely, 100%. I'll be releasing it, and it will be. I mean, the publishers have got offices in Birmingham and New York.
Awesome.
And it was like they offered me a first-class train ticket to Birmingham, and it's 267 quid it was. And I rang them up and said, "But don't you have an office in New York? It's only £1 more to fly there. You can fly me there." So I'm taking my little miracle boy, who
that'd be wicked.
For Halloween we're going. So
awesome.
my other son is 18, and he raised his own money for his flight, and yeah, so we're the three of us are going. Me and my two sons. It's going to be phenomenal.
That'd be great. Yeah, in fact, I got
Can
some.
you imagine? Can you imagine? I've been to New York once last year, but can you imagine after being paralysed, I'm walking across the Brooklyn Bridge?
Be wicked.
Can you
You'll
imagine?
love it. You'll love it. It'd be great. It's a great story.
Honestly,
This is why that's why it needs to get out to people, Helen, because people need to understand.
I cried. I've got to admit, I
I can
cried. I
imagine.
was in tears walking across the bridge, just being able to do it, put one foot in front of the other. After bending down to tie up my shoelaces, it was just phenomenal.
Yeah, that's it's. I mean, it is. It gets people emotional. So it's something
Well,
you'll treasure.
I'm absolutely in love with the whole process. You know, I cannot wait to go away, take my son, run around, kick up leaves with him in Central Park.
Get
You know,
pictures. Get loads of pictures. Get lots of
something.
videos. Yeah.
I've got thousands from last year, but this is going to be even better because I was so overwhelmed last year. Like I said, my headspace was totally different. The fear of becoming ill was really high back then. So I don't feel I had a full on experience. So this year is going to be totally different.
Yeah, we've got some good places out there you can go to as well. But yeah, we'll get you on some good stuff on the plane as well to keep your immune system nice and strong. But that'd be great. I really look forward to the book coming out. And yeah, thanks a lot for coming on, Helen, sharing your story. It's been really good.
Thank you so much for absolutely everything, honestly, and being you.
No worries. So there we have it, boys and girls. That was the episode with Helen Jacobs. Awesome interview. And you know, if you're not inspired by her, then I don't know who you're going to be inspired by. Being attacked, stabbed in the neck, left for dead, you know, having to go through all that and still give birth to someone, and then being diagnosed with cancer, being told you've got 100 days to live, and she's still here today, looking and feeling better than ever, and not letting any of those dire diagnoses from doctors. That, you know, I said on the show, people get diagnosed by doctors, you know, get told they got 6 months or a year to live. What happens? Inevitably, they're dead in that period of time, because the mind and body are intrinsically connected. The mind's so powerful. It can take a situation that looks dire in one circumstance and positive if you look at it a different way. And whatever way you're looking at it, that's what happened. The placebo effect is huge. So, you know, even believing in stuff and not buying his diagnosis. As I said on the show, doctors like to treat disease, cut, burn, poison, medicate, whereas what we do is we treat a person who has an illness or disease and we regenerate health. Very, very different approach. And it allows us to get the results that they can't and they don't when it comes to chronic illness. So if you ever get a diagnosis like Helen's, just remember, it's not the end. It's not a death sentence. It's just the body crying out for help, and it's how you go about it that makes a big difference. And so, yeah, anyone who's been dealing with any health issues and they have been struggling and they haven't been able to get through them or come out the other side, and they seem overwhelmed and they don't know where to turn, like Helen was, and you're looking for some help, and you know you resonate with us, then send me an email at ryan@reviveyourself.co, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, and we'll be able to book a call to have a chat about if and how we can help you. Or, you know, if you're on Facebook, send me an inbox on there, or on Instagram. Or yeah, you just go to the www.reviveyourself.co and click on the contact tab, and you'll be able to find a way to message me on there, and I'll get back to you once again as soon as I can. I mean, so otherwise, I always say to people, hiring a coach may seem expensive at the time, but it's a lot cheaper in the long run, both financially, in terms of time wasted, it's just no need for you to be sitting there in pain and frustration when you know you can get out of it and you know there's a path and a way. And as I always say, coaches have coaches as well, so I know what it's like, and having that support and guidance is crucial. And I know that the support and guidance we give is actually second to none. So yeah, I'm not trying to blow our own trumpet there. I just know that offer that level of support that most people don't. It's not just like an email support when you're on the clock. When you work with us, I'm there to give you that one-to-one attention, and any questions you've got, I'm there for you. As always, as I said before the show, head over to www.reviveyourself.co and click on the shop tab to buy any supplements. We've got there EMF blocking devices, water filtration systems, essential oils, blue blocking glasses, any of like the sun creams, toothpaste, etc. Anything that I mention on the show, if you buy it for our shop, it really does help me float this podcast. Helps me keep bringing information to you and getting great guests and spending time on it, because otherwise we do give this all out for free, as you know, and it's no problem. But it just helps us. So if you do buy anything health-wise and you can get it from our shop, then if you can, that would be great and be much appreciated. Otherwise, that's it for this week, guys and girls. Hope you've enjoyed this show. As always, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
If you're struggling with gut issues, such as gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, indigestion, heartburn, and want to finally be able to eat the foods you love without the crippling after effects, then don't forget to head over to reviveyourself.co and pick up your free copy of The Healing Health Paradigm today.